Upside, though. So I just want to start with some opening thoughts on that movie. I really felt it was a very good feel-good movie. Mm-hmm. And this is not an original movie. It is a remake of a French movie called The Intouchables. It's pretty much the exact same storyline, but in French.
Okay.
Now, this movie, pure feel-good movie for me. It was never designed to be thought-provoking. It's just two characters looking for different things. We have Dell, played by Kevin Hart, who's looking for redemption. And we have Philip, played by Bryan Cranston, who is kind of depressed and looking for a second look on life.
Yeah, he clearly right away, well, I'll get into it, but we'll get into it when we get into the movie, when we dive right in.
So, I thought it was a really good feel-good movie. What did you think of it?
I enjoyed it a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I think this is my favorite Kevin Hart role ever.
You're not a big Kevin Hart fan?
Not in movies, not so much. I'm not a huge Kevin Hart guy. I feel he plays the same character, and I do not like that character. The big goofy guy that always acts tough, but then is not really tough, and he gets beat up by like a girl or something like that because he's so small, or like some nerdy guy or something like that. It's just, I don't know. It's not.
You've never been a big Kevin Hart movie guy.
No.
See, I like Kevin Hart. I think you're right in the sense that he does play that stereotypical character a little too much. I think he's got a lot of range. I think you see it in this movie.
Yeah, clearly.
I think even when he has to play the straight guy to The Rock in Central Intelligence, I think you can see that he's more than a one-dimensional actor.
Yeah.
He just doesn't take enough roles to.
They just don't write him properly.
No, they don't write him. He doesn't take roles to show that he's more than one-dimensional. He takes the same role all the time. And, I worry for him sometimes that he'll fall into this Will Ferrell kind of character where we know Will Ferrell can act. We've seen him in Stranger Than Fiction where it's more of a drama and we get to see his actual acting chops. But now all he seems to do is take on the same character that's just a baboon, dumb buffoon.
Mm-hmm. Clearly, right? And that's why his movies haven't been doing this so well because it's
the same
thing for 20 years now. Like, it's... Not 20 years. Let's say 10 years. He's been playing.
I would say I'd say 20. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
He's just been the lead character for like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
He's always been like a secondary character. Like Old School is the same kind of character.
Yeah, that's a very
Elf,
true.
Anchorman. You can go on.
Plays that Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely. So
other guys.
But
actually, the other guys, he's a little different than
no, the other guys. I love the other guys. I'm a big fan of the other guys.
That's why I said he's a little different.
I like to go. Let's go to the vault one day on the other guys. If you've never seen the other guys, I'm thinking of my gym buddy Dan, who's never seen it. He should be watching that movie. That movie's fantastic. Hilarious. It is great.
I think that's the last one.
I've been trying to get my buddy Dan to watch that movie for like 2 years now. Yeah. He's like, but he's like you. He doesn't like Will Ferrell. No, you like Will Ferrell. I don't know why, but you like him.
I like him, but I'm getting sick of him.
Yeah. All right, but let's talk about the upside. So the movie begins with introducing us to our two characters. So we have Dell, who's this character who's on parole, and he needs to be looking for a job or he's going back to prison. Mm-hmm. He's just going through the motions. He kind of looks like he's given up on life.
He just kind of seems like the kind of guy that, you wouldn't want to take home. If you're a girl, you do not want to take him home. He's been in prison. Doesn't look like he has much direction. Even the way he gets this job, he wasn't really looking for it.
He backdoors into it.
Yeah.
He's looking for a janitor job. Yeah. He's not looking for this helper job. He's looking to be the janitor, but he's not there for the job. He's just there for the signature so he can go back to moping and be like, yeah, no one can hire me because I've got a criminal past.
Yeah, and what we like to call this, the kids like to call this a waistband. So that's what he wants to be.
Yeah, just he's happy doing nothing. Living on probably someone's couch from person to person.
Yeah.
Not amounting to anything.
We find out he got evicted from his home because he has no job.
He's got a
doesn't
kid.
Play child support.
He's a deadbeat.
Yeah, pure waste man.
Yeah.
That's what we call him.
So then we also meet Philip, and Philip is a quadriplegic. He can only move his neck, and he has fired his last caretaker. and they're looking for a new one. And he is unimpressed by anyone who is qualified. And
It's overly qualified.
yeah, and he's loaded, richer than Jay-Z, but not as rich as
Warren Buffett?
Warren Buffett. Okay, that's who it was.
Trying to remember.
And for me, why do you think he was unimpressed? Like, I have some ideas as I watched the movie, but what were your thoughts initially on why you thought he was unimpressed by all of these people?
I feel like, spoiler alert, he lost his wife. And when he lost his wife, I feel like he lost his motivation for living.
Yeah, that's why he's looking for that second lease on life.
Yeah, right? He doesn't really care. Like, we hear it, like, he was struggling to breathe, and he's like, if I don't breathe.
Yeah, DNR, right? Do not resuscitate. No extra means necessary.
Yeah, just let me die. Because he doesn't want to be on the earth anymore, right? It's that, too. Plus, like, my wife really loved me, and I feel like in the secondary half of the movie, I feel like it might be the reason why he really was attached to his wife is because, like, no one else will care for me the way that my wife did because I'm paraplegic.
That's an interesting thought. I didn't think of that one, but I really like it. I thought of two things. I thought firstly that a lot of the people, and I would like to rewatch this scene to confirm it, but a lot of the people are more talking to Yvonne. So we don't know her role at this point. We find out that it's like a business partner to Philip, but she's the one who's kind of looking. She's asking the questions, and they're more talking to her as if Philip's not even there. And this is a theme that we see throughout the movie. And when Del does walk in, he's like, Yvonne, you're not running the show. Philip, the guy that's sitting down, you're running the show, and he goes right to him. So it's right away. I feel like that's one thing.
That's good. That might be one of the reasons why he hired him. One of the connections. Right?
Yeah, and I think the other thing about a lot of these candidates, and I feel like a lot of people make this mistake in interviews, is they're given the same answer, but just a little bit differently. They're all the rah, we'll do this, we'll do that.
Yeah, we're a family, we're happy.
Yeah, but that's not. If everyone gives the same answer, what distinguishes you from anyone else? Like, are you really being real, or are you just being the person you need to be to get the job? Yeah. And I think that Philip is a person who's, he's been in business, he's been in finance, he has to relate to people to be in that, and he can see right through these people. That they're just phonies.
He wrote a book about it.
Yeah, right?
So he clearly sees the difference.
And you know what? The one clear thing I think we see throughout this movie is he sees some potential in Del that Del doesn't see himself. He's the only person that sees potential in Del. And he continues to help him throughout this movie.
Push him.
Forgive him for things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think those to me are the two main reasons. The first is they don't show him the respect that I think he thinks he deserves. And the second, they're just answers. They're so stereotypical answers that everyone's going to give him, and they don't stand out. And I think that's what Philip's really looking for in a candidate, someone who stands out.
Yeah.
So he goes through all these candidates, and Del's been waiting for like an hour. He's got to go pick up his son. So he barges in on someone else's interview. And he thinks this is for a janitor job. But when he walks in, like I said before, he's like, Yvonne, you're not someone I need to talk to. He knows Philip's the guy. And he goes right to Philip. And, to me, he shows him he's respectful to him. At least somewhat respectful.
I don't know if he's totally respectful.
Okay, maybe not totally respectful. Maybe not totally respectful. But so he basically says my PO needs signatures, and Yvonne's like, "What's a PO?" And Philip's like, "Parole officer." And he's interested. So he's been sitting in this chair the entire time. He kind of rolls himself over and is like, "Okay, you have the job." He's like, "I don't want the job.
I just want the signature."
So why do you think he offered him the job?
For me, at that part initially, when I first saw it, I thought it was like, he's very unqualified, so like he's gonna let me die because he won't know how to handle it.
That was my initial reaction as well. But I had a couple other things. Again, this goes to this idea of respect. He shows him this respect that he's talking to him. But also, it goes to my second aspect. He's not going to be this yes person that everyone else is going to be. He's not going to sit there and sugarcoat everything that's going on. He's going to be real.
Yeah.
And I do think that, he makes him laugh a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that he probably hasn't done a lot since his wife's died.
Yeah.
So I think there was like this immediate connection. And I think, I don't know, I think he sees something in him. Potential.
Yeah. Going forward in the movie, you can see that he definitely sees potential in him. Because the way they talk. Plus, even then, he was reading his book without even being told to read the book. He read the book on his own.
He's inspired. Del gets inspired by Philip, there's no doubt. So he says, I'll think about it. And then he goes home that night. His ex, I don't know if it's ex-wife or it's his ex-girlfriend, his baby daddy, right? Baby mama, sorry. So it basically kicks him out and says, you can't see your son. You're a deadbeat. You don't pay your bills. You're useless.
Mm-hmm.
And
he gave us a terrible spot in like some ghetto.
Yeah. Like, I found you this house. Have you seen the house? It's probably full of asbestos and it leaks. It's probably we're gonna die here.
Yeah, it's not. Plus, it's not a good neighborhood for his son, right?
No, not at all. That we see in the area, there's a lot of gangsters and drug dealers and all of these things. And his son is smart. We get that right off the bat.
Yeah, right off the bat, his son's smart and like his wife. I mean, not wife. His baby mama's giving him books to like learning languages. I think he's learning Chinese.
Yes, he was.
And I was like, okay.
But Del, not to be outdone, gives him a book himself, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn.
Where do you get that book?
He stole it from Philip's house. At this
interview.
No, before the interview.
Before the interview, yeah. I was gonna say during the interview process. I'd say.
Yes. So he decides to accept this job because he is sick of being this deadbeat. Because he does love I think he does love his son and does love his ex. I think we see that throughout the movie as well.
Yeah, his issue is he just didn't have a legitimate means of getting.
Yeah, this is a job offer, a legitimate job offer. So I think he does want stability. I think he does want to be a better father. I really do. So he basically goes in and says, I need a Metro card because I need to get here. And Yvonne's like, this is a live-in position. And she shows him like the bedroom that has its own ensuite.
Yeah.
And he's like, he kind of falls asleep on the mattress, probably the nicest mattress he's lived on in his life.
Hasn't slept in a while, right?
And Yvonne says, listen, you have 3 strikes. And then you're out. That was how I accepted you. You have 3 strikes. Okay. So, the job. So, we kind of get this idea of what this job entails, right? It's moving his muscles. It's changing his catheter, which he doesn't want to do. Strike 1.
Feeding him.
Just taking him around.
Yeah, taking him around places, running him on errands. Stuff like that.
And all of this job, throughout this job, they begin to bond. And there's many examples of this bonding, right? Del gets Philip out of his comfort zone. The first time I think they bond is through marijuana.
Yeah.
So Philip tells Del kind of his life story, that how he became a quadriplegic. He went on a gliding adventure in a storm. He crashed, broke his neck. Wife died of cancer. And Del's like, I'm going to make you feel better. So he goes to a dealer in a park, and he gives the weed to Philip. And Philip's like, this isn't going to work. I take this stuff all the time. There's no weed that affects me. Yeah. He's like, wait for it. So they go around for a bit, and he feels it.
He's like, oh.
So they go into a hot dog stop, and they're going to buy some hot dogs. But the hot dog owner, or the cashier that's working, basically asks Del what Philip wants. And Del's like, no, ask him. He's in a wheelchair. He's not dead.
Yeah. And
I think this is another thing that really took Philip and Del bonding to each other. Because it's like, you don't think of me as, you think of me as a person.
Yeah, not as like, because most people, that's one of the issues, a lot of people that have, that are in wheelchairs and everything, like, everyone treats them a lot differently.
Yeah. They don't get the respect they deserve.
Yeah. So Del's giving him the respect versus while they're bonding, so you can see the relationship develop.
Absolutely. And we see this even like in the transportation, right? The standard issue vehicle that Philip travels in is a van.
Yeah. And
Del's like, no, we're not doing that. What are you? Yeah, get into a nice car. You own all these nice cars. It doesn't have to be practical. If you live in a van, you're gonna act like you're in a van. You have to try to live a normal life. And Del again gets him out of this comfort zone. We get this scene where they go to the opera, and Philip's really big into opera music, and Del's like, "Nope, you need some soul music. You need some Aretha."
Yeah.
And so they go to this opera, and initially you see Del just like making jokes, cracking jokes, being like,
laughing,
and making Philip laugh too, like
disrespectful.
But by the end of the show, it's Del who's the first person to give this standing ovation and gets right into this opera. Again, this bonding scene between the two of them, right?
They're showing each other parts of each other's world, and they like it.
Exactly, and then Del finds out Philip's been corresponding with a girl for years that he's never met, and he kind of pushes him to get out of this comfort zone and talk to her, and they actually set a date up with this girl named Lily. Even though he does think there's something going on between Philip and Yvonne, he's just kind of looking out. You gotta get back out there. Your wife's dead. You have all this money. You're good looking. Go find someone. Maybe someone who's got a lot of work done to their face, because you can't move your body, they can't move their face. You gotta make a great couple. and Philip again, a nice little chuckle. Even when Philip's a very private person, he doesn't like to be around people. Yeah. This is why he fires people. And when his birthday happens, Yvonne throws this party for him, and Philip's really upset about it. And Del has you have all this money in your beautiful apartment, and you have all of these friends that care about you and bring you gifts, and you're upset, and he throws something, and this anger that Philip has that he can't get rid of, Del helps him by just destroying everything in this room that Philip doesn't like.
I'm not gonna lie, I really thought that scene was pretty funny.
That was a great scene, though.
He's like, "What do you want? This vase? You want me to break this vase?" Just smash it.
This picture? No, that one. This one? No, not this one. That one? Okay, that one. Okay. And he breaks it. And it's just... But again, I think it's a great scene to show their relationship and their development of this character. And so much of the middle third of this movie, or even I even go enough to say the middle 75% of this movie is just this bonding between the two of them. And every scene is so well done.
Yeah, I really enjoy the chemistry between Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart.
Oh my God, it's fantastic.
Very good. That's the kind of, like, for me, when I first saw them, like, wow, I didn't expect them to have as much chemistry as they did.
And even like this idea that when they had this free day, Bryan Cranston, Del brings Philip to meet his son. They spend the day with his son, and they find out about the Huckleberry Finn book, and forgives him right away. Listen, whatever, put it past. People make mistakes. Past is past. Let's move forward. And one thing that Del can't understand is Philip's taste in artwork, which I have to agree with Del 100%. Like, I love art. I am all about art.
I'm not an abstract art kind of
No,
guy.
I'm sorry. If I can draw it, this is Del's argument. If I can draw it, it ain't art. Because I can barely draw a square. So if you're drawing just two squares on top of each other, I can do it. And that's not art.
Yeah, that's me. I'm more realism.
I like the old masters. I'm sorry. Go back to Da Vinci and Michelangelo and Donatello. Paul Rubens, Peter Paul Rubens. Those are the guys I like.
But I guess for me personally, just a little sidetrack. Like, I can see why people like abstract art, because it's based on a feeling that it gives them. That's how I feel about house music.
Fair enough.
Because it's more based on what it makes you feel. So
anyway, Del sees all this art. He's like, I can do this. So he basically draws his own artwork and displays it in the middle of the apartment. And during the part, it is funny. It is probably the nicest artwork in the apartment, though, because it's abstract but not complete abstract. Anyways,
and it was based on the poem that they're talking before, right?
Yeah.
A Doberman represents bravery, and it had what was it, an arrowhead?
Yes.
Yeah, it was eating an arrowhead or something like that.
So, anyways, Philip's like, okay, display it. And during the party, one of the people that are living in the building that Philip doesn't really like, he kind of pretends it's a new and upcoming artist that's going to go huge, and he sells Del's painting for $50,000 and gives it to Del as a gift.
Yeah, That was...
Because one of the things throughout the movie that we kind of deal with is Del is looking to start a company. Like, he wants to do something. And he has all of these ideas. And when Philip gives him this money, he's like, this is for your company. Take this, start your company when you get a good idea.
Yeah, but initially Del's like, oh, I could be an artist now?
I know. No, this is a one-time thing. You cannot be an artist. So everything's going good, but in any movie where everything's going good,
there's always a climax.
You need I wouldn't call this the climax. This is the conflict.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a change.
Yeah.
And Philip goes on a date with Lily. So this is the moment, right? He's not opened up to anybody. So he's been spending I think 2 or 3 years opening up to Lily. They've never met. They decide to meet for dinner. And when they get there, Del's there to kind of feed Philip, but Lily's already known about this, and she's like, you know what? I can handle this.
Yeah.
Go, Del. And Del leaves. And things start off very well for the two of them.
Yeah, they're talking. I didn't know. For me, I thought she had like a sinister motive behind her. I thought she was maybe after this money. I didn't think she wasn't, because the way she stopped, we'd see her stop and stare and look really concerned. And I'm like, is she really into it, or maybe she Googled him and just wanted the money?
I thought that at first too, but as the dinner's going on, you really start to see like she's getting freaked out because she has to feed him everything, and she can't
even wipe his own. Like, there's a stain, and she's staring at his skin, and he can't even wipe it.
She gets freaked out. Is this going to be her life? Is she just going to be feeding him for the rest of her life, and she just can't accept it? So he takes it hard, and he's like, I need to leave. And she's just like, no, I think we should have had Del stay for a bit. It was too much, too fast. And Del's like, no. Oh, sorry, Philip's like, no. We need to leave.
Yeah,
we need to leave. And at that moment, he pushes everyone away. He fires Del. He's pushing Yvonne to leave. It just becomes everything very...
It gets very bitter.
It's a spiral. It's a downward spiral. Like, it's the darkest of the dark for him. So
it's really butthurt.
And, I get it. This is the first time he's put himself out there.
And then he just gets totally...
destroyed. It's like you have this person who's kind of been depressed, is just about to get out of it, and then has their legs knocked out, and they fall flat on their face.
If I was talking to Phil, I'd just be like, "Hey man, don't worry about rejection. I get rejected every Friday night."
But I gotta blame.
No problem with that.
Yeah, but I gotta blame Philip on this a little bit. Why do you think I'm gonna blame Philip for this?
Interesting. I don't know why. Why would you?
Why a dinner? Especially a dinner with like 6 courses. This is the perfect thing for. Let's go for like a coffee or a drink. Give me a straw. I'll sit there. We can chat. Why does it have to be so formal? Like, I think it helps.
Because he's super rich.
I know. That's a super rich thing to do. Go to a nice restaurant, have like 7 courses.
Flex. Listen, we all want to flex on those girls, right? I was gonna say the other word, but this is child friendly.
So after Del gets fired, he seeks redemption. So he gets his redemption. I shouldn't say he seeks it. He's been seeking it throughout the movie. He uses that $50,000 to buy a house for his family. An actual house in a nice area, and he starts the business he's been looking for. And the business, which is what has become his passion, is to build wheelchairs for people who are paraplegic and quadriplegic. I thought that was a very, very good touch. I thought it was brilliant writing. So things are good until at his place, at his workplace, Dr. Maggie, Philip's physiotherapist, comes and basically says Philip's in a very bad position. Yvonne's left. He's in a downward spiral. He might do something he's going to regret. You need to come talk to him. And so Del, being the class guy he's been, decides to help. And he has this plan that he puts into action. So he takes Philip out in his car. They drive to the country. They hire someone to take them gliding, and for the first time since his accident, Philip gets to go gliding.
Hang gliding.
And
I would never do. Would you do that?
No, I'm terrified of heights.
I couldn't do that either.
No, thank you. Especially if I know if there could be accidents. Like,
Yeah,
no.
like that accident that just happened, I would
thank you.
never go hang gliding again.
And, Del has to go too, even though he doesn't want to go. And just to this is the climax of the movie. And guess where I've seen this? Where I've seen this scene now?
In the trailer?
It's in the trailer. With the bloody climax of the movie in the trailer.
I never saw the trailer for this.
I saw it after. I like to watch it after, and when we talk about these movies,
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what the trailers were like. Helps me also bring back some ideas because all the best parts are in the trailer anyway.
Yeah.
So
What you think? Not
Philip is very grateful for this, like extremely grateful, and they're having a drink, and Del's like, "That ain't the best part." And Del walks away, and instead of coming back, Yvonne shows up, and they get together. I think that's the idea. Which, again, I think is a very nice touch. Del goes home, and when he buys his home for his wife and kid, he says, "I'm not ready to move in yet." And at that moment, at the end of the movie, after he's kind of gotten Philip and Yvonne together, we see him walking into the house for what we presume is the first time. Finally getting his redemption fully. And then we get a scroll that those two remain friends.
The scroll was so... I wanted a little bit more.
It needed to be more. I thought when it was
for
based...
the scroll, that's just for me.
When I thought it was based on a true story, because that's what I heard, I thought, oh, maybe that's all there is. But it's not really based on a true story. It's based off it's a remake of another movie that's based on a true story. Oh. So that took place in a different country. So you've created this entirely new movie. You could have done whatever you wanted with him. Nobody would have cared. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you. I would have definitely needed more scroll.
But I'm glad they remained friends.
So I have a couple questions for you. So one thing we didn't talk about when we were going through this movie is this movie had the ending at the beginning. So we see them at the beginning of the movie driving in this Ferrari and the police pulling them over. Mm-hmm. And then we go to the 6 months early and we come back to that scene at the end. What were your thoughts of putting the ending at the beginning?
Honestly, in my honest opinion, it wasn't really needed.
See,
if you asked me,
I liked it.
Really?
I think it works. And the reason I think it works, I'll ask you this question. When we go 6 months later, did you think that Del was going to be fired?
Oh, no.
Why?
Because they were together 6 months earlier.
6 months later.
Like 6 months later.
So,
but the thing is...
To me, it's great because it throws you off the story. It doesn't make you... It doesn't let you follow the pattern perfectly. Like, in my head, all I'm trying to figure out is, why does he grow a beard? Because I see him at the beginning of this beard.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's going to be fired. It doesn't even cross my mind. I'm watching this movie with a completely different perspective because of that beginning. I think it throws you off the scent of where this movie's going.
For me, I think I'd argue the same because like we know that he got fired, but we know like 6 months, like when he gets fired, they're gonna get back together because we saw that at the end, right? So there's not.
But they never actually get back together.
Well, not back together, but we know that they're gonna be together and everything. Like they have the conflict, but we know like that conflict's not really gonna stay a conflict. Obviously, it's because of a movie.
Obviously, it's a feel-good movie. We know how it's going to end. It's going to be a happy ending. This isn't a drama that's going to be a negative movie. But at least it gives you. It doesn't make it perfectly. It doesn't make it perfect to follow. Mm-hmm. There at least gives you something to be like, oh, I didn't see that coming because I didn't see it coming.
Yeah. I didn't see the fire coming, but it wasn't totally necessary for me. I still could have followed. Like, even if that wasn't there, we could still see that. He was going to get fired. It'd still be, maybe that would happen, maybe not. But
okay. I did think it worked. But, the second question I have for you is about Rotten Tomatoes. So, Rotten Tomatoes, the writers, the critics, have given this movie 40%. The fans have given this movie 88%. Where's this disconnect between these critics and these fans?
I don't know. Isn't it a runner for Oscars too as well?
Oh, no, it comes out in 2019. So, technically, funny story about this movie. This movie came out 2 years ago in 2017 at the Toronto International Film Festival. But it was owned by the Weinstein Company. And you know what happened a month after?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Me Too movement after Harvey Weinstein was outed for being the creep that he is.
Yeah. Okay.
So this movie went into development hell, and it was eventually purchased and released 2 years later. So this movie actually came out 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it became a January release. And a lot of the critics are panning it as a January release movie because it's...
Maybe that's why we have the bias that because it's in January, it's going to be bad.
I don't know. I think the disconnect is that movies like this are not movies like this are the reason I don't listen to critics. Because I think critics want something to be different and dark and like thought-provoking. But movies to
Not
me,
everything has to be thought.
exactly. You can make good, not thought-provoking movies. Every movie has a different purpose. To me, the Upside's purpose is two things. Number one, let's talk about redemption and make me feel good. And I think it does a good job of both of those. It makes me feel that a character can get redemption for sins, and it makes me feel good about society and life and people that have disabilities.
Yeah, this was a good January release for me. I didn't expect this because, like I said, January release, dumpster. No one cares about it. But sometimes it's because it was in development hell and they don't want to compete with anybody and stuff like this happens. So you get gems.
The other criticism that a lot of people are saying about this movie is that it's a remake of a very good movie called The Intouchables. Intouchables. Is that a possibility?
Maybe. I mean, the artist won for the Oscars, and I don't know if that's a good movie or not.
But that's not a foreign film.
No, the artist, right? It's in Isn't it in French?
No, it's silent movie.
Wow.
We've already talked about this on this podcast.
I know.
It's a silent movie.
I always forget about the artist because I think it's
a foreign film has never won the best
dumbest.
picture foreign film has never won best picture in the Academy Awards.
Oscars so white. Hashtag.
Well, it's Hollywood. So yeah. Anyways,
bias. There's a bias.
My question is, does it count as a remake? Like, it's a foreign film. Like, is The Ring a remake?
That's true.
When I look at The Ring, yeah, it's just an English version of a Japanese movie. This movie is an English version of a French movie. No, Ringu. There's a
manga for it.
Oh, fine, but I'm talking about of a movie, right? There's Ringu.
Do you know what manga is?
Yeah, it's comic books in Japanese.
No. Wow, yo, you just lost half of our fan base. We're just gonna get. You really want us to get shut down?
What is it?
Well, technically it is.
Oh, there it is.
You can't say that because that really pisses them off.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. We worked at a library. We shelved manga books all the time.
Oh yeah, I forgot you'd know it. I forgot that.
They just look like comics. I don't know. I don't even. How would you describe them?
Japanese comics? I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
To somebody that didn't know. But then if you're really into it, they get freaked out.
So I don't know but to go back to my point, I don't know if it counts as even a remake. To me, it's just an English version of a different movie. I don't know.
Like the Godzilla.
Yeah,
is that considered a remake?
Well, it could be.
1998.
No. But I would consider the one with Bryan Cranston in a remake.
Well, yeah, obviously. I'm talking about the one in 1998.
No, I don't think. Yes. I don't think like making a foreign film into an English movie is a remake. I think it's an English version of the movie. Just like I think if you made a French version of The Godfather, it wouldn't be a remake of The Godfather. It would be the French version of The Godfather.
Do you think The Lion King is a remake of that Japanese Simba movie?
I don't even know. I think the Lion King is a remake of Hamlet.
Oh, that's Hamlet.
All movies are remakes. All right, can you relate to Philip?
Not so much Philip, I guess. I'm not paraplegic and I'm not super
quadriplegic.
Quadriplegic. Sorry.
You're gonna lose our audience.
Sorry. Whoops. I'm not super rich. I'm not married, and I don't have a dead wife, so I'm not really relatable. And I haven't lived my life to the point where I don't see a point in living on. I've never gotten to that point. I could relate more to Dell, I guess. if I had to relate to somebody. Well, not minus the prison and illegal activities, but like just the form of just trying to find your way in life, right? That's where I probably would relate more to.
I don't know if I'm with you. I don't think I can relate with Philip, but I can definitely empathize with him. I think they did a great job.
Yeah, 100% I can empathize.
You know, one thing I really liked about this movie is the acting. We've really commented on Kevin Hart, who was more reserved in his role instead of his normal outgoing self.
He was great. If Kevin Hart acts like this, he'll become my favorite actor.
I don't think that's going to be true.
That's not going to be true.
But I think Cranston was fantastic. He looked real. Like I fell for him. I felt the depression.
Cranston is just so underrated as an actor. He can do it all. Oh. Like that guy is just insanely good.
You know where I met, or not met, but you know where I started learning about Bryan Cranston, or the first thing I watched with Cranston?
Was it Malcolm in the Middle?
Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah.
He literally goes from this pure comedy to Breaking Bad.
I was like,
that's like the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
When I heard of Breaking Bad, I'm like, wait, that's the dad of Malcolm in the Middle?
Yeah.
How is he going to play this role? Like,
Walter White, yeah.
Like, how does he go from that?
Yeah, but that's, like you said, very underrated. And they just have a great chemistry and a great relationship. Do you think that the writer or director do a good job showing the redemption of Del?
I feel like he did. In my opinion, the reason why is we see he cares about his family, and he's trying to make means work for his family. He got the right business in order, and we also see that he moved. One of the complaints is that he just got any place for his baby mama, and then he moved them to a different city because he's like, my son. He saw his son talking to that one guy.
Yeah, and he got really upset. The drug dealer.
Yeah, right. And he's like, no, I don't want my son to get into this. So he moved his son out of the. I'm not gonna lie, my parents did a similar thing.
But that's it, right? Who you hang around with, especially in your formative years, is what could lead you down your path in your life.
Yeah, right. We can look at a couple of NFL and NBA players.
Absolutely.
Right? They make some wrong choices, and
so
things happen.
I guess my last question before we talk about some likes and dislikes of this movie is: do you think the character of Yvonne was utilized enough in this film?
That might be one of the dislikes. They didn't dive more into the relationship of Philip and Yvonne. It was more... I wanted more explanation of what her actual role was. It wasn't super clear. She seemed really like an assistant, but she was a business partner. She seemed more like an assistant to me.
Yeah, well, we get a little bit of her backstory, right? She was married. She worked for Philip. She got married. She left Philip. Mm-hmm. She got divorced. Then Philip got into his accident, and she rushed back and has been with him. But I feel like, and Nicole Kidman, I thought did a great job in this role. But I feel like they really wasted.
How's Nicole Kidman?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, she's been busy. She's been busy recently. She's got Aquaman out. She's got this movie, Destroyer. I think there's another movie in there too that I didn't even notice
that was Nicole Kidman. Wow, she looks very different in Aquaman and this.
Yeah. But I feel like she was wasted and she wasn't developed enough. I think there was a lot here. And again, I guess this is Del and Philip's story.
Yeah, it was more focused on Del and Philip's relationship and story, and Del's redemption and Philip's look at a second life. So
what are some of your likes in this movie? Like, what are the things? I know we talked about a lot of them. You can sum them up. You know, the things that we spent a lot of time on, and go in depth on some of the things that we didn't spend a lot of time on.
My likes, I'm gonna say, is the chemistry between Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart. The acting was phenomenal. I really felt engaged with the I actually cared about the characters, you know. And obviously from the beginning, I was like, oh, well, didn't really, the beginning part I wasn't really too into it, but just that pretty much aspect. And this just makes you feel good. There's nothing wrong with having a movie that makes you feel good.
I second a lot of what you said. I really like their relationship. I love their chemistry. You know, Hart spends 75% of this movie breaking through Cranston's armor.
Yeah.
Philip, Bryan Cranston's character, he is just put up all this armor, not letting anyone in, and it's slow, but Del just cracks a little bit at a time before he breaks it all off and reestablishes that connection. As Xavier said, there's nothing wrong with a good feel-good movie. When you walk out of this theater, you're going to feel good. You're going to have a smile on your face. And there's a lot, and that leads me to my last point. There's a lot of humor in this movie.
Yeah.
It's not like a pure comedy movie, but there's a lot of scenes that are just going to make you laugh.
We didn't even talk about a lot of the scenes.
One of the scenes that
boner scene?
That was what I was just going to say. The one scene that I really liked. So after midway through the movie, when they've already established this good rapport, Dr. Maggie's not around to change the catheter, so Del has to do it. And he's just like, okay, I can do this. 1, 2. He takes out the catheter and he's got to put it in, but when he goes to put it in, he gets a boner. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm the only person here. Why are you giving me? Why do you have a boner?
Like, I can't help it. It's subconscious.
I can't control it.
Just go away.
You're thinking of Yvonne, aren't you? And then as soon as Yvonne opens the door and like he covers the
we were just talking about you.
We're just talking about you. It's really funny. There's a couple other good gem scenes like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. Like I'm getting really high at his
oh my god.
party.
Or the throwing of all of the room and breaking up the room. That's really good. The last thing, I like the music. I like the fact that he liked Aretha Franklin, or Del liked Aretha Franklin, and Philip liked opera, and like just how they bond over music. And in the end, when they're playing that last song, it's Aretha Franklin doing opera. It's just a great end to a movie, and I like opera, so it really touched me. What about some dislikes, Xavier?
I don't have that much dislikes. Like I said, Yvonne, more development into Yvonne, and I don't really like the beginning of the movie where it shows the ending at the beginning.
Okay. I agree with you on Yvonne's character. I think something else we talked about, I think you'll agree when I say this, is I would have liked more in the ending. I would have liked some more closure, some more scroll. I felt the ending was a little rushed.
Yeah, it's just like, and they're still friends. And
or even just like they go hand gliding in the middle of the air, and like they come down, and then him and Yvonne are talking. It's like, yay, everything's good. You go back to your family. Woohoo!
Yeah, like what happened with him and Yvonne? What happened with him and his family? You know, like.
And lastly, for me, although I did enjoy the beginning, I didn't like the implausibility of it, right? They're outrunning the cops, and they lie to the cops. It's just a little implausible for me, but nothing too crazy. Overall, I really liked it. So what are you giving this out of 10?
Let me give it I'm debating 8 or 8.5. I'll give it 8.5 out of 10.
I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 for all of the reasons I said I liked it. And the reason it doesn't get to that 9 is there's a couple things that could have done better.
We match for once.
All right, well, that's it for the upside.